Good afternoon and welcome to our Wednesday show, Jour du Galop. It's Inside News. Thank you very much for joining us. Normal show on a Wednesday. Talk a little bit about Saturday's racing, my horse to follow, then obviously the barrier trials and some sand track work. There's two very interesting races coming up this week, the Lightning Stakes and obviously the third and final leg of the 3-year-old championship. I've had a look at some of the horses working. We will spot them later, or we'll talk about them a little bit later. But let's get stuck in. Saturday was quite a nice day's racing. If it wasn't for our Emperor, I think I probably would have had a good day, but unfortunately he got beat. Overshadow, well, that was a terrific win. I must be honest with you, I never spotted him at all. Stepping up to that 1850 from the 1450, yeah, that was a very good run to rule the night. And but I was a little bit worried about him stepping up to the 1850, but he proved me wrong. I thought he was given a very good ride by Carl Zechner. Well done to Pritam Dabi as well. He's obviously decided to fit the blinkers onto him, and well, it obviously worked, and Overshadow won a good race. He looks like on that specific win itself, it looks like he's going to go on and be quite a nice horse, especially over a little bit of ground. You'd think that he'd even go a little bit further the way that he won. Towards the end, he was just pulling away from them, and that was a pretty good win by Overshadow. Well done to all the connections, and well done if you spotted him and if you had a little bet on him, because like I said, I found it very difficult to find Overshadow. In fact, I didn't even put him in my pick 8, and but once again, well done to all the connections. Well done to you if you managed to spot him. Right, couple of performances on the day. First of all, Pravesh Haril, he opened the first two races, the first and the second race. I thought he gave both his horses a very, very good. I've always rated Pravesh Haril. I think he's got very good hands. He's a very quiet, soft-spoken guy, and he sort of gets on very well with horses that give jockeys a hard time. You just have to look at Dark Force. Dark Force is a horse that gives people, well, has given jockeys a hard time in the past, and I thought he rode him brilliantly, got him to settle in front, and like I said on Friday, I thought he was the best horse in the race. Obviously, the question mark was about his fitness, but like I said, Pravesh got him to settle so beautifully in front, and he really gave him a good ride. And the Brass Bell as well, another good ride, and obviously he's been to New Caledonia, has picked up a bit of experience as Pravesh Haril, and he really looks like he's still got a nice long future ahead of him in Mauritius. Well done to him. Nice to see the Mauritian boys doing well. Pierre Stradom, well, he rode 3 winners, and I thought his ride on Sacred Flame especially was a very, very good ride. So nicely balanced, and I don't know if you've noticed, but he goes for the stick very, very late, Pierre Stradom. He rides him with the hands for a long time down the straight, and only sort of if it's necessary does he pull that stick out that last little bit. Even Red Indy, another great ride. I think this is where he got the name the Striker back in South Africa. He's really judged that run to perfection and managed to get Red Indy home late, and some nice rides from him. I think we're quite lucky to have a jockey of his caliber here, and hopefully he will keep that winning momentum going. And then, well, probably not in Mauritius, but in South Africa, I thought Twist of Fate, Naresh Juglal gave him a terrific ride. I see they put the blinkers on him early Saturday morning. That's one thing that you're allowed to do in South Africa. You're sort of allowed to declare equipment changes. I think it's up to 9 o'clock of the race day. So Joey Ramsden, a little bit of a shrewd move there, put those blinkers on late, but from draw 17, I think Naresh gave him an absolutely peach of a ride, and well done to the Nagadu stable. He really is a beautiful horse, this Twist of Fate. Interesting to see what's going to happen with him, because obviously Joey Ramsden is moving to Singapore. If you're not aware of that, Joey Ramsden is going to be moving to Singapore towards the end of the year, and interesting to see if Twist of Fate will make the move to Singapore or if he will go to stud. I mean, he's done pretty well, this horse, and but nevertheless, well done to the Nagadu family. They bought him for absolutely nothing. He's been an absolute star. They picked up a big check on Saturday for the July handicap, and well done to them. Very, very nice for sort of Mauritian owners, especially some of the smaller owners. Obviously, we do have a lot of Mauritian owners back in South Africa that spend a lot of money on horses, but these guys, they didn't spend a lot of money. It's almost like a dream come true. Well done to them. Right, and then, sorry, I just wanted to speak about Brandon Louis as well on Overdose, who was my well, he was my value bet. He was originally a value bet, but I see he was quite heavily backed, and I just thought on his form he couldn't lose that particular race. But I thought Brandon Louis handled him beautifully. Well done to him. if I'm not mistaken. I think that's his first win of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Well done to him. And then, well, unfortunately, there's always the good parts of racing and then the bad parts. There's quite a lot of suspensions. Brandon Louis, as we're just talking about him, he got a week for Antwerp, interference. Rakesh Bogaruti, 2 weeks for him on Barack Levan. And then, unfortunately, Daryl Holland, who's really been riding well, he's going to cup a 2-week suspension on Rebel Alliance. It'll be interesting to see what he does, how he's going to sort of take that suspension. Is he going to ask them to defer it 1 week? Obviously, there's a couple of feature races coming up, and we'll see how Daryl Holland goes about that suspension. Right, that was Saturday. Then obviously my horse to follow, I want to talk about Sur Bernardini, because I have to say I was pretty disappointed with his debut when he got beat 14 lengths by Palace. And well, he had some good form in South Africa. In fact, 2 very good runs with the blinkers when he ran behind. That was Tribal Fusion. Go have a, if you are on form grids or South African, have a look at Tribal Fusion, what he's done. And then also he ran a very good third behind Socrates, another top horse in South Africa. So obviously this horse has got the form, he's got the ability, and we could have sort of just ignored that first run where he needed. That was a cracking run on Saturday. Patrick put the blinkers on him. Patrick Mervyn tried him with the blinkers, and well, he travelled in a good position most of the way. Unfortunately, he had to sort of pull out quite wide coming to the straight, and I think at the end of the day, that's probably what cost him the race or the win. Had he not pulled out so wide, he probably could have pulled this off. So Sur Bernardini, well, he's found his form. He looks a lot fitter. He looks a lot better, and definitely next time I'll be following Sur Bernardini with a lot of interest. Incidentally, I was just having a look at the payouts in that Pacific race, and I don't know if anyone was lucky enough to catch that swinger with Sur Bernardini and Captain Swarovski. It paid a massive 3,862 rupees for your 10 rupees. So if you took a couple of swingers with Captain Swarovski and Sur Bernardini, that was a massive payout. I don't think I've ever seen a swinger pay so much in my life. So 3,862 rupees for a swinger. Well, hopefully we can try and catch something like that in the future. Right, well, that's the past. Let's move on to the future, and all the present and the future. We had 4 barrier trials. I wanted to talk about 3 because there was 3 that had a couple of new horses. The 4th one, sort of just a couple of older horses trying blinkers and that sort of thing. The first one is Supreme Orator from Raj Ramdin. I Travel Light from the Ramesh Gajara stable. He was trying the blinkers with the red jacket, and then Tipu Tib from the Herchan stable, he had the green jacket. Let's talk about Supreme Orator. This barrier trial was galloped in the dark, but you can see it. Well, it's nice to see Raj Ramdin with a nice horse. He's already a 3-time winner and has run behind some nice sorts, and seems to be best over 1,600, even maybe a 1,850 here in Mauritius. And well, that's what made his first gallop look even more impressive, because that was a good gallop over over 1,000. Sorry, not 990. And let's hope he can regain some of that earlier form he showed as a 2-year-old, where he ran close behind Dutch Philip, and he's only rated 39 here. He could be quite useful for the Raj Ramdin stable. In I Travel Light, you have to say that he's been disappointing, this horse, but I haven't written him off yet. I've been following this horse, and I think that the blinkers could probably make the difference here. Remember, he ran 3rd to Table Bay last year at Weight for Age, and unfortunately he hasn't really gone on to do anything else, but he has dropped 8 points in the merit rating. I think he was a 58, he's now 50. He's trying the blinkers on. That wasn't a bad performance behind Redline Captain last time, and he was backed from 44 to 1 into 19 to 1, so maybe he is trying to come at hand, and I reckon that with the blinkers we can keep an eye on I Travel Light. He could sort of cause a surprise very, very soon. And then Tipu Tib, another promising young horse bought by the Herchan stable. He's already a 2-time winner. He's a 3-year-old, and even though the 1 win was in PE, he's got that sort of come on look about him. He is by that stallion Ashawis, and the horses of Ashawis do sort of improve with age, and they are nice sort of stayers, so he looks like he could be quite useful as well. But end of the day, nice to see Raj with a nice horse. I Travel Light, I've got a feeling that this horse is going to pick up a race. He's going to sort of surprise us all. And then Tipu Tib looks like a nice young horse as well. All right, that's the first barrier trial. The second one, let's talk about that. Sacred Night from the Vincent Ellis stable. He had the red jacket. King Story, Jean-Michel, blue. And then Jean-Michel again with another one, Daredevil Aviator. Let's talk about Sacred Night. Well, there was a nice gallop from this 3-year-old from the Vincent Ellis stable. He was sort of at the back most of the way, but he came in the straight Derek David pulled him to the inside of the course, and he really stretched on beautifully to go on and win a nice gallop this. And he looks like he's going to be a nice horse. Remember, he's only rated 26. He was a maiden back in South Africa, but he looks like he's a nice horse. He was hanging in quite badly. I wouldn't say badly, but probably just out of greenness. But he looks like a nice sort of horse. Let's keep an eye on him. Remember, Vincent Ellis bought quite a couple of new horses, so we're going to see quite a couple of his new horses step out. King Story from the Jean-Michel Henry stable. He's only a one-time winner, and he wasn't disgraced after winning his maiden. But I have to say, I went back and had a look at that maiden form. I think there's only been 1 or 2 winners out of that maiden form, so the field that he beat wasn't too strong. He did race with blinkers in South Africa. He never galloped with blinkers, so maybe we'll see him back in the pens or the barrier trials with a pair of blinkers. He's probably a little bit better with the blinkers. And then his stable companion, Daredevil Aviator. Well, he did win a barrier trial in South Africa. He's still a maiden, but he won a barrier trial back there. And well, he came quite close in his 2 out of his 4 runs. He ran 2 decent races, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement from this horse, and I think he's going to grow into a decent horse. If I had to pick between the 2, I think I'd probably go with Daredevil Aviator. He just looks like he's got the more room for improvement than King Story. But once again, that was Sacred Night. That looked like quite an impressive gallop as well. Right, the third barrier trial and the last one I want to talk about, 7 colours, Jean-Michel Henry, Power Tower and Respectable Rock. 7 colours, as we know, he's sort of really hashed up the start last time when Cedric fell off. He had to be repassed. He was slow again today, but he sort of jumped a little bit slow, but his gallop was pretty good, and at least he behaved himself a little bit better. And he took the lead easily under Cedric Sejourne, came into the straight, wasn't hard, sort of pushed or anything like that, and he galloped quite nicely. Let's hope he behaves himself in the stalls, because I think he's got a little bit of ability, this horse. He has won in 25 or 26, a bit of a surprise, but I think he's got a bit of ability, especially the way that he galloped. Power Tower, well, that was a brilliant second to Mind-Blowing last time in the 1850, and if there's any horse that looks like he'd be a candidate for blinkers, it's this horse. I think the blinkers are going to suit him down to the ground, and maybe next time over a similar distance with the blinkers, he could probably pull off his first win here in Mauritius. Power Tower. I really think the blinkers are going to improve this horse a lot. All right, then Respectable Rock from the Nagadu stable. He had the yellow colors. He has tried blinkers, and once again, not too many horses. Well, in fact, I haven't seen a horse from Zimbabwe for a very, very long time, so it's obviously very hard to judge their form. I don't really know the Zimbabwean form line too well, but it wasn't a bad run first time out, 7 lengths behind Danger Rock. He obviously was going to prefer a little bit better. Natural improvement, the blinkers as well. He's worthwhile keeping an eye on. Respectable Rock. In the day, I like Power Tower with those blinkers. Let's keep an eye on him. Right, that's the 3 barrier trials. Now we're going to talk about the sand track work that I spotted. Like mentioned early on, it is the 3-year-old. It's the final leg of it. It looks like it's going to be quite a nice race, the 3-year-old championship. The horse that I really like, I liked him last time as well when he beat Rule the Night. Obviously, he was quite happy, quite lucky to beat Rule the Night last time, because Rule the Night almost fell. But it was a very, very good win of the second leg championship, Viking Trial. He takes his chances of being crowned the 3-year-old championship this week. And well, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to have a problem with the 1600. The way that he won last time, the 1600 is not going to be a problem. It's a smart field of 3-year-olds, but I think Viking Trail is going to be my first choice. Keep an eye on his stable companion as well. Remember, he's one of my horses to follow, Vasco Street Tractor. That was a terrific debut last time. I see he's entered as well, so it'll be interesting to see if he runs as well. But Viking Trail, really looking good. I like the way he worked yesterday morning. Right, the other feature race is the Lightning Stakes, and well, there's the Lightning Cup or the Lightning Stakes. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it's always been a very, very exciting race. I don't think it's going to be any different this year. Black Cat back. Well, he's had 3 terrific races here in Mauritius. 2, I beg your pardon. There was a great run in the Barbeck Cap, and you'd think that probably the 990 is going to be a little bit sharp for him. But if you go back to his South African form, he's got some very, very good form in feature races over sprint distance. I think he ran a very good race in the 1100. I just like the way that this horse has been racing, and in fact, I was surprised that he managed to stay the mile as well as he did. But Black Cat back will be in the Lightning Cup. Could be a little bit short for him, but he's a very classy horse, and he could just pull it off. Black Cat back. I like the way that he worked, and then obviously he worked alongside the Thinker, who's also nominated as well. Right, and Rule the Night. I'm surprised we're not seeing him in the last leg of the 3-year-old championship. Alan Perdrau has elected to go for the Lightning Stakes. And but remember, these first 2 wins in Mauritius were over 990, so he's not going to have a problem with the distance. In fact, he's going to settle a lot better than 990. Obviously, a big step up in class for him, but remember, he's only carrying 53.5 kilos, and he could, it looks like he's going to be a top horses in Mauritius. And like I said, the 990's already proven himself, 53.5 kilos on his back. I like the way he worked. I like when he came off the track, he looked unbelievably well. He wouldn't blow out a candle. That's how fit he looks. And Rule the Night, a big runner in the Lightning Stakes. So Viking Trail, Black Cat back, Rule the Night. These 3 are in the feature races this week. Let's keep an eye on them. Let's see what happens as far as their draws are concerned for Friday. Right, then Sakhra. Well, you have to say there was a brilliant run when he got beat just less than a length by Cyber Special. I was under the impression that he was going to need his first run. Shahil was probably a little bit more confident than me, but I thought he was going to need that first run. In fact, I was quite impressed with the run. He only got beat less than a length, and he has some impressive form this horse back in South Africa. He's had that 1 run under the belt. He looks a lot fitter. I see he is entered in a benchmark 36 on Saturday, but I reckon on the improvement, he's going to be a big factor on Saturday, Sakhra. Like I said, combine everything. The fact that he's had the run, the South African form, he's working well. I think he's a big runner on Saturday, Sakhra. Right, the next horse I want to talk about is from the Ricky Maingard stable, that's Spring Man. And he's slowly coming to hand, this horse. He's got some very good form in South Africa. You just have to have a look at that 1 run when he ran behind that horse that ran second in the July Rainbow Bridge. He ran second on Saturday in the July Handicap. This horse ran just behind him. Yes, obviously he is looking for a little bit more ground, is Spring Man. He ran a terrific race in 2,400 meter as well. That was the Winter Derby back in South Africa. I think that was behind that was Double Mint, who's also a very good horse back in South Africa. So he's got the form. I think he's just taken a little bit of time to sort of for the penny to drop, to find his feet in Mauritius. There was a good third last time with Pravesh Aril on. He is running in a 1600, well, not running, I beg your pardon. He's entered in a 1600 on Saturday. Whether or not that's going to be maybe a 200 meters short for him remains to be seen, but he's very well, this horse. I'll make him a big runner on Saturday in that race. Right, and then we'll move over to Jean-Michel Henry stable, Titsi Kama Dance. I've liked this horse ever since he's arrived here. His South African form is pretty good as well. I had a very close look at his first run. I thought it was a terrific run. I think he ran 4 lengths behind Wall Tag, if I'm not mistaken, and he's improved a lot from that run. He's a lot fitter. In fact, his coat looks a lot better. That's what put me off first time. His coat wasn't sort of 100%, but it's looking a lot better this time. His work is also very good, and unfortunately, we won't see him this week. He's not entered, but the horse that he worked with, Wool Jareen, I think he's entered in the Lightning Stakes. That was a very good run from Titsi Kama Dance. Here's a horse that I'm keeping an eye on. I'll definitely be following him with interest next time he steps out onto the race course. Right, then JJ's Captain. Well, he's nominated to make his Mauritian debut this week. He's a son of Captain Al. I've always been a big fan of the Captain's Al, especially the ones that coming here to Mauritius. Every time he works this horse, he catches my eye. And although he won 1,000 meters in South Africa, it looks like he's looking for a little bit more ground. He is nominated in that benchmark 1450. And I would imagine a lot of people think that maybe it's a little bit far for him. But he won as a very young horse, over 1,000 meters. I think that he's looking for a little bit of ground. This horse, the Captain Als, do go right up to 1,600, 1,800 meters. So the stamina is not, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And well, the horse that he's beaten has come out and won or placed in a group race back in South Africa. So his South African form is pretty solid. And he's run behind some nice horses, and he's sort of been they've taken his time with him. He's pretty fit, he's well, expecting a big run from him on debut this week if he does take his place on Saturday. All right, and then Rameshwar Gajara, they're having a great run. Uzo, and you have to say the unlucky Uzo. It's not often that you see a horse lose a race in the Stuypstream twice in a matter of 3 or 4 runs, and he remains in good form. I see he's been working with the side winkers, and that was nice work yesterday. I really liked the way he worked, and this horse just needs a little bit of luck. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble, because if he does stay out of trouble, I think he's going to be a big runner when he comes out next time as well. Uzo, you know, it's sometimes when you see a horse go through a bit of bad luck, I also feel for the owners as well, because obviously they're putting the money down. They might have a nice little bet on their horse as well, and that's twice they've lost it, and it must be very disappointing for them. So let's hope that Uzo gets everything together next time and pulls off a win, and I think if he does win, he's going to win quite easily, is Uzo. Right, then the last horse I want to talk about is Colton Hertz, and after a terrific debut behind Master of Spain, well, that was 10 years ago, I think, sorry, 10 years ago, 10 days ago, I beg your pardon. He has made a lot of improvement as well. There was a good third behind him on debut. He only got beat 2 lengths that day. In my opinion, he's improved a little bit more than 2 lengths, and well, his best runs in South Africa were over much further, and it remains to be seen if he'll go in the first race, where he is out of bracket. He's 61.5. That's a 1850. I personally think that'll be a better race for him, but that depends if he's going to get space or not, because he is nominated in the last race as well, which is a 1500. I just think the 1850 will be a much better race, but obviously that's going to depend on whether or not he gets in, because he is out of bracket. He's got 61.5, and we'll see if he gets in there or not. But if he does run in that first race, he's a big runner. I think he's a big runner in the last race as well. I just preferably like to see him in the 1850, because it looks like he's a nice stayer. Okay, well, that's all we got for you on our Wednesday show. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, Friday we will be back. I'm not sure if I'll be alone, because Shahil's still in the middle of all his examinations, and so I don't know if I'll be here by myself or he will be joining us. But remember, Friday, catch up with us. We will be going through the card. It's going to be an interesting card. I'm pretty confident from what I've seen in training. I found a couple of winners, and hopefully we can pass that on to you on Friday morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.